Tanker hijacked by rescued migrants arrives safely in Malta. Armed military personnel stood guard on the ship's deck, and a dozen or so migrants were also visible, as the vessel docked at Boiler Wharf in the city of Senglia. Several police authorities in Italy and Malta on Wednesday said that the group had hijacked the Turkish oil tanker El Hibla 1 after it rescued them in the Mediterranean Sea, and forced the crew to put the Libya-bound vessel on a course north toward Europe. Italy's Interior Minister, Matteo Salvini, said the ship had rescued about 120 people and described what happened as The ship had been heading toward Italy's southernmost island of Lampedusa and the island of Malta when Maltese forces intercepted it. Maltese armed forces established communications with the captain while the ship was still 30 nautical miles offshore. The captain told the special team that restored control to the captain was backed by a patrol vessel, 2 fast interceptor craft and a helicopter. There was no immediate word on the condition of El Hibla 1's crew. Humanitarian organizations say that migrants are mistreated and even tortured in Libya, and have protested protocols to return migrants rescued offshore to the lawless northern African nation. Meanwhile, a private group that operates a rescue ship and monitors how governments treat migrants, Mediterranea, urged compassion for the group on the hijacked vessel and said it hoped European countries would act in. Mass migration to Europe has dropped sharply since 2015, when the continent received 1 million refugees and migrants from countries in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. The surge created, along with the dangerous sea journey itself, those who attempt to cross the Mediterranean risk being stopped by Libya's Coast Guard and held in Libyan detention centers that human rights groups have described as bleak places where migrants allegedly suffer routine abuse. EU members alert. European Union member countries, responding to domestic opposition to welcoming immigrants, have decided to significantly downscale an EU operation in the Mediterranean, withdrawing their ships and continuing the mission with air surveillance only. This Barry reported from Milan. Vanessa Guerra
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.